Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and you know what, animals, if maybe of all ages, thank you
Where
for
my
tuning.
dog's at.
That's it. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Switch It Up Show. My name is Glenn, and in the background chuckling, you hear the wonderful tones of Mr. Seth Trav.
That's right. And it's awesome that you bring up all the animals because we've got creatures galore today on this latest expansion-packed episode of the Switch It Up Show. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to that, we are going to let these sweet, sweet beats ride.
And those beats, of course, ladies and gentlemen, are brought to you by the wonderful people at Ana Mana Gucci. Make sure you check out the links over in the show notes so you can listen to all their wonderful music.
Gucci as they are.
That's it, my man. Now we've got two games here as always on the Switch It Up Show, and I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right on into it with Regina and Mac. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now this game actually originally came out on the Wii U. Wii U of all things, in January of this year, and then it was ported over into the Switch. Pretty crazy that the Wii U is still getting like new games in 2020, but you know what?
Right?
2020 is the year of crazy, so a lot crazier things happening than games on the Wii U. But I'm going to go ahead and read you the synopsis on the Wii U description in the eShop. Whether you buy it on the eShop or for Switch or for Wii U, it's the same price. It's $9.99, and you get 50 gold coins for buying that. But the description in the Wii U shop, for some reason, is way better. It's much more informative than the few sentences that they give the one in the Switch one. So bear with me as I go through this introduction. Join the macaw, Regina, and the Tyrannosaurus Mac on their adventure as they try to escape a lifeless research lab. The only way out? To find the golden floppy disks on the memory of the lab's computer system. U64 is stored so that it can help the duo find an exit. Regina and Mac is a 3D platformer that stands in the tradition of the classics from the late 90s and offers a fair challenge. Nope. And for genre aficionados. Venture through 9 expansive yet compact worlds with 10 golden floppies each. Tackle the tasks in your order. You are free to explore the lab and its levels and choose in the order you want to collect the floppies. Exploration, platforming, and puzzle solving await. An ever-expanding moveset keeps the experience fresh from start to finish, featuring visuals reminiscent of the early 3D days at 60 frames per second. Relive the atmosphere of yesteryear without sacrificing comfort. I assure you, you will sacrifice your patience and your brain when you open up Regina and Mac. They're definitely like channeling those 3D platformer games of yesteryear, as they mention. More so like maybe kind of in the vein of like Banjo and Kazooie and whatnot. But like this game just does really not feel like polished like at all. Not that you need to have the best graphics or anything like that, but they kind of just like throw you into it, and you are basically just collecting different pieces, of course the floppy disk as well, but in order to progress from one room in each level, you need to either collect, you're going for the floppy disk, you're going for these little like white cubes in order to go through and solve these puzzles. And these puzzles are kind of like a mixture between Sudoku and Minesweeper. So they're to me, grown adult. they're not very straightforward. That, or like maybe I'm just pretty dumb, but like I found them fairly difficult. I even found going through the level to try to figure out how you're going to collect these items to be like super tedious. On top of that, it's got one of these like really weird like jump mechanics where sometimes you jump and it seems like you're on a pogo stick, and other times you jump and it seems like you're floating through space. More so the pogo stick type jump. But some of the jumps that they require you to make are like, it just seems like you need to be like pinpoint accurate. And I understand the idea of trying to appeal to like the people who grew up playing like those like 90s platformers, because now a lot of the people who grew up with like N64 being their first system are like the perfect age to like be able to just buy all types of games in the eShop and the Wii U. And I had a 64 as well, and it was a great system. But if you want to play a Nintendo 64 game, like go play one of those. Go play Banjo-Kazooie. Go play Mario 64. Any one of those. But this just does not seem like a very great recreation of that type of game. I found that just the level design and the type of puzzles that you go through, and then the fact that the levels themselves like just kind of look a little bit rough. And to be fair, a lot of those games from that era of 3D gaming, like on the 64, if you were to throw them up right now, like a lot of them don't look great. But it's also at the same time, like, I mean, I have nothing but the best memories of playing Super Mario 64. To me, in my mind, that game, like, no game looks better than that.
Right?
But you fire that
to go back and do it, it's like, this was amazing.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, there's a lot of, like, design on these levels where it's just, like, solid color blocky object by solid color blocky object by solid color, like, sky. So, like, it's really... Like, even though Super Mario 64, and I'm using that as kind of like the, like the one that most people are probably most familiar with, it's got a lot of those polygonal type graphics, but there's still a whole bunch of detail in there to really kind of bring that experience together. And this one is, obviously just, it just doesn't have that. And it's probably maybe not fair to compare like Nintendo up against Diplodocus, Diplodocus. Well, go for it out there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I'm sure their resources compared to Nintendo's, two very different things. I appreciate the fact that they wanted to bring one of these 3D platforming games, to light, because there are some newer ones. There's been a couple of new, like, Spyros. PlayStation's done it with Knack, so like they can definitely be done well. It's just that when you're going out on a Nintendo platform and you're going for that type of game, you're going to be compared to these like behemoths of like nostalgia that are regarded really high, and you're going to be compared to that. And I think because of that, and because of the fact that the puzzles really aren't so so easy, and not even just easy, they're confusing. And because they're confusing, they're frustrating. And the fact that the controls aren't there and the graphics aren't there, like. It's just rough. It's a rough experience for me. Regina and Mac on the eShop, $9.99. I mean, this is ladies and gentlemen, this is like this is rough. This is rough, man. This is like a 1. This is a 1 out of 5. This is bad. This is bad. Now, like, I'm sorry. This might be the lowest score I've given so far, and it's not like it's completely like unplayable or broken. It's just not fun. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just my score. If you disagree with me, by all means, let us know over on Twitter at SwitchITUP Show. We'll talk to you about it. Like, I have no problem being like, hey, maybe I'm just real bad at this. Maybe this is your favorite game. Let us know what you like about it. And we do try to be fair. We play everything. I'm super glad that they were kind enough to give us a code for the game.
They gave us 2, actually.
Yeah.
I have a copy as well, and you'll be able to find some gameplay of this. Is it going to be exactly like Superman 64? We're going to find out. Check us out over on YouTube at SwitchIT or at Preach Network.
Have you played this yet? It's
Not
okay
yet.
if you haven't, but like I'd be anxious, like, and please, like, make sure that you subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this show by if this is the first time you've listened to it, you can listen to us on pretty much anything. Search whatever provider that you're using for your podcast. Just search for SwitchITUP Show. We've recently separated our show from our main feed, so we stand alone here on the SwitchITUP Show.
We do now, yes.
And like, I really I want to know what you think about this game when you play it, Mr. Trav, because I want to see if I'm totally off base with it.
I mean, we're all going to find out, and we'll find out together. If you join us over on YouTube, /Preach Network, when we find out. So, ladies and gentlemen, the game that I played today is what many at first glance would call a complete Pokemon ripoff. It is Nexomon Extinction. It is $19.99, and you get 100 gold points when you purchase it on the Nintendo eShop. It is also available on Steam, I believe the Xbox and the PS4, and it is so much more than just a Pokemon ripoff. But let's start off here with the description. A new story begins. Nexomon Extinction is a return to classic monster catching games, complete with a brand new story, eccentric characters, and over 300 unique Nexomon to trap and tame. The world is on the brink of extinction as mighty tyrant Nexomon fight for dominion over humans and monsters. Join the Tamers Guild and begin an epic journey to restore balance before all hope is lost. Leave the orphanage you grew up in. Choose your first Nexomon and start your life as a tamer. Explore a world teeming with Nexomon. Trap and tame up to 381 different Nexomon from 9 elemental types with powerful evolutions. Join the fight, Tyrant Nexomon roam free, and the Tamers Guild is stretched to the limit. Can you change the tide of the battle? Battle tyrants and trainers. Step up and take on would-be challengers and dangerous foes in beautifully animated turn-based battles. Discover diverse regions from arid deserts and freezing tundra, navigate challenging environments, and manage their effects on your Nexomon. Immerse yourself in the world of Nexomon, uncover secrets, stumble upon side quests, and encounter a raft of eccentric characters. I don't think I've heard raft just used as an adjective that way. Train hard to become the greatest. Dynamic difficulty will see the world around you get more challenging as you progress, as even defeated trainers come back stronger than before and ready to battle again. It is from our good friends over at P-Cube and developed by the people over at VWow. And it's only 2.9 gigs. One player, no real internet need for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that it's not just a Pokemon ripoff, but obviously there are many a game that is very, very similar to Pokemon. You're looking at your Digimons, your Monster Ranchers to an extent, even a little bit of like a Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want to think about it, depending on which version of the game you play. But this, there's going to be a lot of similarities that you're going to see. Namely in the way that you catch the things, the style of the monsters. Like, instead of using Pokeballs, they use these Nexo traps, and they're just pyramids, which to me is just like kind of crazy. That they use like a pyramid to throw something. That doesn't seem right. It's gonna stab them. Like, what's up with that? It's dangerous. That's all dangerous. There are a few problems with the game. One is that they don't have a real map to look at. Like, you can never just pull up a map from like your pause menu. You have to go to one of these warp points, and you don't always have warp points. I want to be able to like know where I am. Like, I feel like that's a little bit of a letdown. There's enough space in the game and enough area to go around that you could easily use a map. And it would really help out just navigating everywhere you are. But there's certain puzzles in there that don't necessarily lend itself to having a map. They do a lot of things where it's like you got to go up, and then you got to go right, and then you got to go left, and then you got to go right again. Memory things. So that's one of the drawbacks. A little bit, I guess you could say that there's no like ability to trade between other players. At least that I saw. They may update it a little bit. I don't want to give away much of the story because they were kind of in all the review copies they were kind enough to give us. They were very adamant about not giving away too much of the story. So I want to leave it as basically saying that if Pokemon is PG, this is definitely like TV 14 for a monster catching game. I personally am really, really into the story. I think there were some twists, and it was pretty fun all along the way. I actually preferred this style to the current Pokemon games that are on the Nintendo Switch. It's much, much more animated. It plays a little bit more like a Flash game. I feel like I remember playing the original Nexomon either on some sort of a Flash website for Flash games or on my cell, because I'm pretty sure it originally came out on iOS back on like my iPhone 4 or something like that. So it's cool to see that it's still going. But like I said, the animation style really lends itself to these kinds of games and all the different creatures that are there. They're all fairly unique. And you'll draw comparisons just like all the other games draw comparisons to Pokemon. But this one is fairly unique, at least in its style, the way the creatures look, the way it plays out. I like their emotions. I like their attacks. It all looks good. The music is right on point. And like I said, the story is interesting enough that you'll want to keep going. And there's definitely enough variety that'll keep you playing. So because of all of that, I am going to give Nexomon Extinction a 4.5 out of 5.
That's a pretty solid score, man. That's a very solid score. It almost can't be better.
Yeah. Like I said, it's very, very good. I really, really dig it. It's like it's hard to not compare it to Pokemon. But like I said, you already have your Monster Ranchers, you have your Digimons, you have others that are like Pokemon. I don't even I've seen a few, but you got Pocket Mortys. That's Pokemon. Play that game, see what that's about. And this was very good. It was very, very good. Check it out. It's only $20.
Hey, man. Well,
hours of time.
It's pretty neat that even though our games are both very different, both of them kind of play in a sandbox where you have one kind of clear established winner, in that type of game. It's certainly Pokemon, and your game happened to fare real well. And then in my case, it was probably more so like Mario and Banjo, and in my opinion, my game didn't fare so well. But that's part of the beauty of listening to the show here on the Switch It Up show. If the game is, whether it's super super great or really not that good at all, you can always switch it up.